Greetings from Florida. Here we're working on a 99 to 2003 Toyota Solara. This is the driver's door. The video is at double speed. You've got a screw there, one behind the cover there, couple on the bottom. I think there's 3 on the bottom. If this video is helpful for you, do me a favor, like the video, L-I-K-E, like the video. That'll help other people such as yourselves find it on YouTube. To get this off, you're going to push down from the bottom and up from the top. Watch. Down from the bottom, up from the top. You get the clips off. It might break. You might have to replace it. You've got a side view mirror cover at the top, taking out the switch, and there's another screw behind that. And I've got a one screw right there behind that cover. Comes right off. Changing this is not that complicated, but getting the motor onto the regulator is exceptionally complicated. If you unravel the spool for the regulator, you're going to have to return it or get another one or whatever. So you might want to buy it with the motor attached, which is about $600. If you buy the regulator by itself, it's only about 150 bucks. No 10 millimeter nuts right there. I'm taking off to hold the glass. But then you're going to have to get the motor onto the regulator. It's very, very difficult. It might be worth paying somebody like me the 440 bucks to do it for you. And I also cut out, believe it or not, I cut out the section where I put the motor onto the regulator. You couldn't see much anyway because of where the camera was positioned, and I'm not sure would have helped you anyway. I did show you enough so you can see what needs to be done, but as far as the actual minute by minute of me swearing and going crazy. All right, so we have 10 millimeter nuts all around, 3 that hold the motor to the door, 2 at the top of the regulator. There's a couple shims up there as well that you're gonna save. You're gonna put those back. The bottom bolts are 1/2 inch, or I think you can probably use 13 millimeter. And I did not have a 13 millimeter socket at hand for some reason, so I got a pair of pliers. There's also 2 10 millimeter bolts right above that I took out. I did not need to. I'm not sure why I did, but there you have it. Sorry for the delay. Grab a pair of pliers. Okay, so the whole thing's going to come out no problem. Just unplug it there. Clean out whatever's inside the door. You got 2 Phillips screws that hold the metal plate on that goes over the bracket on the regulator. Then once you get that off, you're going to have to get the rest of the regulator off the motor. It's on there pretty tight. There's the motor. Note the square head. You're going to line that square head up with the new regulator, with the gear in the regulator, which has a square head. So try to get that lined up before you try to put it on. Now again, once you've taken, oh by the way, check the bolts at the top. See if they're about the same length. You can adjust them if you need to. That affects the glass and how it tilts in towards the cockpit of the car. So I cannot caution you enough. If you do this yourself, once you get that off, you cannot let go of the regulator. It will unspool, and you will not be able to respool it. So you'll note that's how the motor's going to go. It's going to go on top like that. And if there was any way they could have done this better, it would have been nice if I could have just pushed the motor onto the spool, which would have pushed off that plastic retaining piece, and life would have been good. But no, it's just not possible. It just can't be done. Not by me, anyway. So right now I'm trying to get the that plastic piece off again without unspooling the regulator. Yeah, see, in theory, you should be able to push the motor onto the regulator and push out that plastic guide. But that's only in theory. It's not going to happen. See, as you can see, it just can't be pushed in. I tried whacking it with a hammer. I tried a few things. And now, again, the spool is, I don't want to say loose, but you can't let it go at this point. You cannot let the spool go at this point, under any circumstances. That's, oh, I cut out the 25 minutes of me struggling with it to get it on. And that's the final result. Yes, I got it on. I'm showing you now. So now we're going to put the new plate back on and a couple screws. Took me a minute to figure out the orientation of the plate. And one of the holes was stripped out a little bit. So I ended up getting a thicker screw. Again, if this is beneficial for you, do me a favor, like the video. Thank you. I just went to get another screw. Be right back. Hey, if you're in Tampa Bay, Florida, or Sarasota, or Manatee, give me a call. Be glad to do this for you. We charge about $440 for this job, including the part. So I've got the other screw on, I'm putting it all back inside. Getting in and out of the door is a piece of cake. And again, those two longer bolts on the bottom are for you to adjust if you need to have the glass come in more to the cockpit of the car or go out more. But if you line up those bolts with the original bolts when you took it out, you should be fine. So let's see, we're putting back on the nuts, 10mm nuts for the motor. Nuts at the top, and don't forget to put those shims back on. Those 10mm bolts did not need to come out. Half-inch nuts. I think I'm just reaching through for the wiring harness from the motor. If I'm not mistaken, I think the wire was on the wrong side of the cable wire from the regulator, so I had to back it out and do that again. Now we're going to put the glass back in. So now the... Oh, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it works. I wasn't sure at this point. And yes, it does. Go figure. Now let's go get the glass that we safely put on the other side of the car. And there's a little bit of wiggle room here on tightening these nuts. If you need to move the glass side to side a little bit or up and down 1/4 of an inch, you do have the ability to do that. We'll see in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up and then put the window up and see if it lines up properly. Bosch, B-O-S-C-H, Bosch tools, nothing but the best. They are absolutely the best quality, indestructible, best customer service. I cannot speak highly enough about Bosch drills and drivers. I've been very pleased with them. And I've used everything over the years, believe me. There's nobody I haven't tried out over 27 years. So now I just put that up there at the top so I can go ahead and close the door, which you can't see, but I'm checking out to make sure it lines up. And it did. It lined up pretty well right on the first try. His latch is a little messed up, so it wasn't closing properly, but the window itself lined up just fine. Just tightening those down a little bit. Again, those are the adjustment screws if you find the glass coming too far in or too far out of the cockpit of the car. I bet it's been 4 years since I've done one of these. I haven't gotten many calls for them lately, but this customer had the old Solara. And I'm just checking it one more time. I'm probably going to close the door and check it one more time. So let's tighten everything up again one more time, make sure it's all secure. Seems fine, so now I'm going to put it all back together. I don't think you need me narrating the rest of this. You shouldn't have any problems getting it all back together. Again, it's a simple job, but putting the motor on the regulator is not. So use your own discretion before you buy a regulator and they're not spools and then they don't take it back. I think you might want to pay somebody to do it this time. Oh, by the way, there was a wiring harness on the inside of the panel that went to that speaker that I plugged in. And again, if this was helpful for you, go ahead and like the video, please. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Have a great week. Bye.